Top of the morning to you. Trust that you're up and feeling hale and hearty. Today is Sunday, the 7th of June, 2026. I'm sitting here reading through the daily lesson study plan that we use in the Seventh day Adventist Church. If you're a non Adventist, forget the name of the church I just mentioned and see whether you can be blessed by what I will share in this reading. The title for today's reading is Life's Storms, and I'll just read it as it is laid out on the page right here. It says, Jesus had spent the day speaking to large crowds of people on the shores of Galilee. Jesus' words would echo in the people's minds for a long time and down through eternity. As evening fell, Jesus spoke to his disciples, inviting them on a journey with him. Let us cross to the other side. Let us cross over to the other side, as it is recorded in Mark chapter 4, verse 35. So Jesus suggested for them to leave where they were and cross over the Sea of Galilee to the other side. Jesus knew a storm would come, but suggested they go anyway. He had an important life lesson to teach his closest friends and followers. And I am assuming most of you listening knows what happened next. A storm arose while they were in the middle of the sea, and Jesus was there asleep, right? To the puzzlement, I would say, of all his disciples. They wondered, how could a storm be battering this boat? And our leader is laying down sleeping peacefully. And you know the story. One of them went and awoke him and asked him, how can he be sleeping at a time like this? And what the answer was, when he got up, he didn't answer them. He addressed the problem first, which was by saying to the sea, peace, be still. Isn't that amazing? It was after that he turned to them and asked them, where is their faith? Why is it they don't have any faith? They're walking around with him, but obviously not exercising the faith they should be exercising in him. How many times do we find ourselves like that, faced with situations, but in the midst of it, we forget whose we are or whose we claim to be? You can read about the story if you have never done so before. It's found in Mark, and it's chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. And think for yourself, what lessons on faith can you pick out from those verses as you read? But as I continue, I want to say, consider these points. Number one, Jesus falls asleep on what was likely the only pillow in the boat. The fishing boats usually had one pillow, which the driver of the boat at the stern sat on. The person at the stern guided the boat to the destination. So here, Jesus in the position of the boat's driver. That's the position he's in. But he falls asleep at the wheel. Number two, not all the disciples were new to sailing. Peter, James, and John were experienced fishermen. They knew the Sea of Galilee, and they would have known how to navigate a storm. Right? Number three, This is the only recorded gospel account of Jesus sleeping. During one of the worst storms of their life, when the disciples are terrified and think they are going to die, Jesus is asleep at the stern. Number 4, the disciples' response in their time of crisis is, "Do you not care?" They questioned Jesus' character and his love for them. And the same is true for us. Too often, this is also our response when we face hard times. Persons who we would look forward to help us, if they are not reacting to the situation the way we anticipate that they should, we quickly jump to say that they don't care. When in many instances we end up being surprised afterwards, realizing that they had a better plan and that we had come through the situation unscathed. All right. So let us learn to trust God in all aspects of our lives. As the lesson continues, it's in the midst of hopelessness that we might try to save ourselves, like the disciples were trying to do. Or sometimes it's when we feel pain or loss that we start to question or doubt God, and doubt His love and whether He cares for us. We presume that He should act in a certain way based on what we think and what we see from our human perspective. But as with the disciples, it's in life's storms that God can work the greatest miracles. God is always faithful, even when His apparent lack of involvement doesn't make sense to us. He's in our storms with us and can calm the storm when we cannot. We should always bear that in mind. We're not in charge. We have been given this space to occupy, and occupy we should, but we should trust in the person who gave us the space to occupy, which is God. So this is our closing question. What is your usual response when you face a storm in your life? And how do such moments impact your relationship with God? When you have lived out 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7. So take a look at that that passage of scripture as you close out your time this morning. I'm hoping and praying that I will have the same energy to do this again tomorrow, and maybe even make it something that I do on a daily basis by the grace of God. Have a wonderful Sunday. Blessings.